Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. So, what was interesting me, and I did touch on this in the last podcast, whatever you want to call these things, about the tennis player. I think he's world number one, isn't he? Novak Djokovic, and his detainment in Australia. Apparently now he's actually won his legal battle. Apparently he had COVID previously in December, so that makes him exempt for some reason. And well, now they're saying he's been arrested, but I don't know if that's true or not. But what it's highlighted, I mean, two things it's highlighted is one, hopefully it's highlighted to people the fact that their rights, their human rights that we've all innately been born with, of life, of freedom of choice and expression and all that kind of stuff that I suppose most people would say was God-given. A lot of it is trained, of course. When we're children, we're blank and we're filled in with those things. But we live within a system. That's the unfortunate thing. The system, well, I suppose it's not unfortunate. It's just unfortunate the system that we live within isn't one that's fair across all places that we find ourselves upon. But what I hope it's illustrated is people will be seeing about our freedoms. You know, I know a lot of people say about wanting to get freedom back and all that kind of stuff, and thinking that previous to COVID-19 we lived freely. We haven't lived freely for a very long time. The system that we live within, the laws that we live within, as the birth certificates and etc., has bound us in a system which to a greater extent is a good system. You know, in certain countries where, you know, you have free medical care, you have people that want to help you, that want to make you better. I mean, I know there's a whole argument of pharmaceutical companies and big pharma and all that kind of stuff, and the tobacco industry and all, you know, all those other things that are not really trying to help you. Yes, it's a mixture, but we're not really free, and we haven't been for a long time, and hopefully this makes people aware of, but I hope it just doesn't stop at, you know, just getting back to pre-COVID of not having to wear a mask or not have to be vaccinated when you don't want to be, because a lot of countries now are forcing people to be vaccinated. Otherwise they can't get benefit, or they can't get jobs, or they can't go certain places, which is us losing even more of our rights as a human being born on this place to experience life but once. So hopefully it makes people aware of that, and they don't just stop and at pre-COVID they think about the whole picture, everyone's lives. Because a lot of people, they may be okay. I mean, the 1% of humanity is very okay. The 1% that controls the whole planet, that has all the money, that 1% is living life to the maximum, I guess you could say. But the other 99%, that means, are not. Yes, and obviously it graduates down. There may be 10% that are still living a good life, you know, a very good life, I should say, like that 1%, you know, millionaires and billionaires and etc. But the vast majority of people, the workers, the people who are never going to make enough money to do all the things that they could dream of, those people, that, I don't know what percentage that would be of that 100%. Is that 60%, 70%, 50%, 80%? I don't know. Are living in a system that isn't really benefiting them. It's just benefiting them and giving them security and giving them, stopping us from going into anarchy and killing each other and just taking whatever we want. And that's where the system does have its place, because if we didn't have the system, if we didn't have laws and structure and things, then, well, would there be chaos? I guess that's what my mind is telling me, but remember, my mind has been programmed through the system that I live within, so sometimes it's difficult to deviate from that. I feel like I'm in a Philip K. Dick novel. But the other thing I hope it that illustrated to me is that another example of how people often only see the problems of the world when it happens to a celebrity or someone who's famous. So he's at a detention camp where asylum seekers are. I wonder whether any people's minds will go further from that. Well, they're just going to think about Novak Djokovic and his plight and having to be detained and having no sleep and being interrogated and being put in a cell and put in prison, and his family getting all uptight about it, and people outside waving flags getting upset about it. But they're not getting upset about the asylum seekers who are in those detention camps. Of course, from my point of view, there's no such thing, because this place that we found ourselves upon, we can't possess, because we live a transitory life. We don't live forever. We cannot possess, because we're going to die. This idea of possession is a caveman instinct of want. This is mine, not yours, as opposed to sharing, which is what we should do, because we've all been given this place equally. No one can possess it, so there's no such thing as immigration or asylum seekers, because these borders that we've cut up and made into land and called names is just a man-made concept that belongs to the system that we live within and previous systems, but it's not really true. Same as like when we go on the moon is everyone's, but soon one day they'll cut it all up and this will be this and this will be that. This will be yours and this will be his. I don't know if we'll ever get past that mindset of possession, and probably not. But yeah, then also from that thought also comes, will people then think, well, not only about that, if people are worried about Novak, a millionaire, I'm sure, who lives a great life, compared to many of his Serbians and many people around the world, they will think about his plight and get really upset about it. But will they think then of the asylum seekers that are in those same detention camps, him, and also the people around the world whose life is like living in a detention camp? There's lots of places around the world, how you say around, on this plane, on this existence, on wherever we find ourselves, whatever shape it may be, that we have found ourselves upon. There are lots of people who live like that, who live like they're in detention, maybe because of authoritarian governments, maybe also because of not having anything, not having food, not having shelter, not having medicines. These countries, they're on all the time. You see it on the news, you see it on Discovery Channel, whatever channel you're looking at. Everyone knows now. It's not like we can turn a blind eye and pretend they don't exist. We know everything about this place that we found ourselves upon and everyone's plight that they're living with. But will people think about that? Or they're just going to think about Novak Djokovic and his plight and just think, well, it's because he's a celebrity that he shouldn't live like that. But what about the millions who are living worse than what he did in that detention camp for those few hours, whose whole life, whose whole existence, one existence is in poverty, is in suffering. Not making that up. That's not a story. It's not something out of Dickens. That's life. There are places, it, the children who are suffering, who don't even live to 30. In a place where now, majority of people's minds, certainly in the West, knows how to create cities and towns and infrastructure and systems and technology and all the things to stop suffering and poverty and diseases caused by water and irrigation and all that kind of stuff. We all know how to do it. Just because we have this mindset possession, we're not going to help out each other for free. We'll put them in debt and keep their countries always below. As if that benefits humanity. I don't know. So I just hope that people's minds go further than just Novak Djokovic and further than just asylum seekers and further than the system that we live within, the freedoms that have been taken away because of COVID, and look at the actual whole of our lives, all of our lives, and those people especially who are suffering, who this system doesn't benefit. Well, it doesn't benefit all of us, even though the ones of us in majority in the West, it doesn't benefit living like this. Yeah, it benefits to have hospitals and work and all that kind of stuff, but only if it's aiding humanity, not if it's just about possession and greed and manufacturing a million different things so this person can get more money than this person live in a castle and you slave your whole life away. I had a dream. I was dreaming about my son, Aidan. I was dreaming I was at work. And he was a little boy, and he was at work as well, and he was having to go off to work. I had to go in one direction, he had to go another, and I woke up thinking about that, how it's like he's enslaved. that my little boy, because the thing is, when you grow up and you're 18, 21 or whatever, you don't see them the same as that child. It's the same as, like, I've talked about this before, about people on the street. You see them there, 30-year-old, 40-year-old with a big beard, asking for money, but you forget about them when they were a child, the love that they needed, how innocent they were. Thinking about that and how that's all everything life's about. I'm bringing up a child just so that they can go and work for someone else, just so they can make money and possess and be part of that same greedy, selfish system. I don't know, it just, to me, it seems so simple and so, like, why can't everyone just see this? Well, maybe a lot of people do, but the problem is I guess those ones with well, no one wants to change it. That's another thing as well with humanity, is change is so difficult for people. Even when they're aware of something, they're too scared to change because of the status quo and what will happen if we do this, that and the other, and everything's fine as it is, why would I touch it? But then by that procrastination, by that stubbornness, another child dies, not living a nice life. Another adult dies, not living a good existence. Like a fair existence, an equal existence, where everyone gets at least some nice taste of life. Not suffering and poverty, like a vast majority of humans have to take. Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.